What's going on, guys? We have a fire sale ahead of the halving. The halving's only roughly 3 days away, and Bitcoin's falling lower and lower. The miners are also selling off. And recently we've been seeing outflows from the spot Bitcoin ETFs. We're going to talk about what's going on there. We're going to talk about a couple of miners as well. And here's one thing though, while this selling's been going on, that has been continuing to happen. The largest whales are still loading up. And let's start right off with this article. Bitcoin whales refuse to sell while Bitcoin price ditches that $70,000 euphoria zone. And examining the accumulation by the largest Bitcoin wallets, sentiment has revealed that increases in exposure have been ongoing from March onward. And you'll see on this graph, you'll see three different lines. This blue one, which is wallets that hold 10 to 100,000 Bitcoin. The red line, which is wallets of 100 to 1,000 Bitcoin. And the yellow line, the 1,000 to 10,000 Bitcoin wallets. Since the beginning of this year, the 1,000 to 10,000 wallets is at an all-time high. The 10,000 to 100,000 wallets has come down a bit. It is still much higher from the beginning of the year. And the 100 to 1,000 Bitcoin wallet addresses, it has been slowly shrinking here recently. Overall, you can see that the whales are continuing to accumulate throughout this year. Now, looking at Bitcoin's chart, we did break structure recently, and we found resistance on the 50 MA once we flipped it. Now, if we don't hold this 61,500 area, as I said yesterday, I do think there's potential for us to head down to the 59s. But you know, if you were looking to buy Bitcoin back here when it was so overbought, when we were pushing new all-time highs, when the RSI was screaming overbought, now is a much better time to enter. And of course, we might see more short-term pain in the future, but we don't know how long this will last. We don't know how low we're gonna go. So my opinion is you have to take advantage of these pullbacks. Looking at the 4 hour, the RSI is approaching oversold. We have bounced out of oversold once, but still near oversold. On the 1 hour, we're still near that oversold level. To me, these are the times to take advantage. Bitcoin's in an overall uptrend. I expect this overall uptrend to continue, therefore I think it is wise to buy the dips. This is the time in the cycle to buy the dips. This is the time to take advantage of Bitcoin. We're only a few days away from the halving. And historically, this has always been the time to be a buyer. And maybe we don't just blast off right after the halving. Maybe we see some more buying opportunities over the next couple of months. But one thing in my mind is certain, we are going to be much higher in price for Bitcoin, for the Bitcoin miners by the end of this year, by the end of this cycle. And to me, these are those buying opportunities to take advantage. When everyone's fearful, when everyone's saying that Bitcoin's going to go back down to 30,000, when those really bearish price targets start coming in, you know, to me, that's the time to start being a buyer. And Bitcoin's down roughly 15% from its top. Of course, it can fall more. Of course, it can go down even more. But to me, this is a sufficient discount to take advantage of in an overall uptrend. Now, if you think we're going to see some more pain, if you're waiting for a better entry point, if you're waiting for a better buy, while I do think now is a great time to continue to accumulate Bitcoin, there is the potential we head down to the 50 EMA. And this is also right around where that level, if we break this level here, this 61.5, I do think we have potential to head down to this 59,000 level, right around the 50 EMA. To me, that would be another great buy zone. I also want to talk about the spot Bitcoin ETFs. Recently, things have been kind of slow. We've seen volume decrease a bit. We've seen kind of low outflow coming from GBTC, very low inflow coming from the other funds, if any inflows. And GBTC is down now 50% from the spot Bitcoin ETF launch. And I want to show you how close GBTC and IBIT are getting to flipping. Looking at the total market share of their holdings, GBTC is now down to around 37%, whereas BlackRock's IBIT is now at 32%. They're about 5% away from flipping. I do still expect this to happen. It will come sometime after the halving. They are now in the 2 billions away from flipping. And I expected this to come along a lot sooner. I expected them to be a lot closer by now. And the reason this isn't the case is because inflows have slowed down, outflows have slowed down. But overall, we will still see IBIT continue to gain up on GBTC until they eventually flip. And this could be a big catalyst for the market, so keep an eye on what's going on with GBTC and IBIT. I also want to briefly cover CleanSpark. We're continuing down this channel. We actually touched the 1370s today. And I want to show you something. We're seeing a little bit of an RSI divergence. The price is coming down, however the RSI is rising. This could be a sign that a reversal is on the horizon. Now, a lot of people are saying they're going to wait for this gap fill. This gap fill right here from 10 to 12 that they broke out of on great earnings, on really high volume. And I'm still saying, you know, don't just wait for the gap fill. You have to buy into it. What if the gap fill doesn't happen? What if we bounce right at 12? And maybe I'm just ultra bullish on CleanSpark, but to me, you know, you got to be taking advantage of the attempt of this gap fill. And in the grand scheme, you know, what's the difference of buying CleanSpark at 14, 13, 12, or 11. In my opinion, even a $15 CleanSpark, you're still looking at potential multiples by the end of this bull run. We're talking about a company that reported a profit back when Bitcoin was at an average price of about $37,000. They're expecting another profit in a quarter where Bitcoin was in a range of 40,000s to 70,000s. This earnings is going to be crucial to listen to. They're going to give us forward guidance. We're going to have an idea of what they expect profitability-wise after the halving. And we're going to see if the upcoming quarter after this quarter reported, are they going to expect profitability for the first quarter after the halving takes effect? And here's something really interesting. Another reason I don't necessarily think we're going to fill out that gap. This is the general direction of CleanSpark ever since it started rallying. If we hold this ascending support, that would mean we're going to be bouncing right around the 12s. If we fail this, maybe that gap fill can come. But this has been the general range of CleanSpark. It's found resistance on this broadening line here, and it's found support on this broadening support. To me, in the days leading up to the halving, in the potential weeks after the halving, if prices are still low, you have to be taking advantage. It doesn't have to be CleanSpark, but in my opinion, you have to be taking advantage of the Bitcoin miners that you have high conviction in. This is the time to be bullish. I also want to talk about BTBT, and yesterday we did break our support. This was a pretty important support. A lot of time we were trading in this range. We did not break it. We respected it. However, right here, we finally broke it. BTBT is now at levels it was trading at back when Bitcoin was in the 30,000s. BTBT is now down 60-something% from its recent top. To me, the halving is priced in. BTBT is also very oversold on the daily. BTBT is also pretty oversold on the hourly. Also very oversold on the 4-hour. Also approaching oversold on the daily. And please tell me if you're bullish on BTBT back when we were overbought. Please tell me you're loading up while this is in the high ones. It's just like we get a different type of investor. You get the people that are trying to chase at the top, then they get burnt, and then you get the longs that want to accumulate when we're oversold, the longs that want to accumulate when we're at important support zones, the longs that want to accumulate when we're low versus buying when it's high. To me, now is the time to be a buyer. If you were looking at BTBT back when it was 4 and you're saying, should I buy now? Now is the time to buy. We are no longer overbought. We are more on the oversold side of things. And this goes for many of the miners. Many of these miners are pretty oversold at this point. That doesn't mean they don't stop dropping from here. But to me, we're much more closer to the bottom than we are to the top. I just want to remind you guys to stay the course. I know it's definitely stressful recently, seeing all these miners continuing to sell off. But we're approaching the halving. It's to be expected. We are expecting these drops. The best thing to do, in my opinion, is continue to accumulate. Focus on accumulation. Buy your high conviction miners. I don't care if it's Bitfarms. I don't care if it's Hut8. I don't care if it's a miner I don't talk about or do talk about. The miners that you have high conviction in, now is the time to be accumulating them. The cryptos you really like for this bull cycle, now is the time to be adding. And I just find it funny, how bullish people are when we're at all-time highs or pushing new all-time highs, going to extremely overbought levels. But these people are nowhere to be found when either Bitcoin, these Bitcoin miners, these cryptos are down massively. They're scared to buy. They probably sold at the bottom and bought at the top. You definitely want to keep a level head during these times, realize that this is just a shakeout from the market. We will see times like these, where we get ripping and rallying and everyone's so excited, and then suddenly the market throws a wrench in those gears. And everyone's like, what the heck's happening? I just bought. I thought this was the time to buy, and now I'm down 20-30%. We will see these big fluctuations where we see these crazy overbought levels, and then we start getting towards oversold. My point is, keep your conviction, keep a level head. There are going to be a lot of volatile days. There are going to be these crazy 10% drops. There are going to be these crazy 10-20% rallies. But let me know in the comments below, do you guys love these days or do you hate these days? To me, days like these are the best days to be an accumulator. These are the best days to be a buyer. As long as you are a buyer, these are great days. But let me know what you guys are buying. What's your high conviction miner? What are your high conviction cryptos that you're adding to? I do think now's the time. And I know I sound like a broken record lately saying, and now's the time, there's a buying opportunity, yada, yada, yada. But I won't be saying that forever. It won't always be the time. But now is the time. But thanks as always for watching, guys. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Is now the time to buy, or is now the time to be fearful?